What's going on, fam? Welcome back to the channel. I have an awesome review for you guys today. It is the brand new Nike Tiempo Legend 10 Elite in this beautiful guava ice and black colorway. This is the colorway for the Women's World Cup, and I'm very excited to share with you guys some of the new tech specs of this football boot. But I first want to say a thank you to Oklahoma's premier soccer shop, Soccer OKC, who were able to get these boots to me really quick. There you go. We'll go to the overhead cam. It'll be easy enough. There you go. Screenshot that, please. There you go. Make sure you get that QR code. So these guys were able to send these out to me super fast, and I was able to get this colorway essentially overnight, which was fantastic. They have lots of huge selection and also a fantastic limited edition selection. So go check their page out. I'll leave a link down in the description box below. It'll be the first link down below. Let's hop straight into the unboxing, because this is a really cool one and there's lots of things to talk about with this football boot. So brand new box for the World Cup. My guess is this is a special box for the World Cup. It is this guava ice with the black accents Nike United pack, which is the kind of the orange guava ice pack for the World Cup for the Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand this year. Ombres into white, which is a really cool feature. These are in a men's 9, a women's 10.5. I believe they're now doing this kind of thing for sizing just to make it easier for everyone. The Legend 10 Elite World Cup firm ground. So there you go. Those are in my normal size 9 US. I wanted to get the same size as the Tiempo 9 that I wore quite a bit as well, just to get a sense of what the sizing was like. My understanding is that they fit very similar. And then you've got the regular ombre, little Nike swoosh there, and then the regular logos on the back. So very cool box, really awesome special edition for that World Cup. And here we go. Very cool. Okay, so right inside you've got a little bit of text that says, "In football united, a future not defined by ideas of the past, rewritten with a brave new joy, unitem Victoria, united in victory." And then Nike United. Very cool. So that's the pack inspiration and pack name for this football boot. And here we go, unboxing, seeing these bad boys. Oh my days. For the first time, ladies and gentlemen, the Tiempo Legend 10 Elite. What a okay, I think these look awesome. Some new tech, very cool, kind of rainbowy sole plate action going on there. Lots of new things to talk about, which is going to be really fun. Completely new construction. A bit of an interesting one for some people. Some people are really angry about it. Some people are totally fine with it. And an interesting re-release of a recent football boot tells me that they were trying to set this one up for success, but we'll go over that in a minute. Okay, so made with at least 20% recycled content, which is pretty cool. So this product, a lot of these boot brands, I believe Puma is now to about 20% made with recycled. I think Adidas is actually at 50% now recycled materials for their football boots, which is pretty cool as well. Here we go. So let's get the rest of this boot unboxed. There's that right shoe, and then you do get a Nike United guava ice and black, very cool string bag. This is really awesome. My guess is this is a special one for the World Cup. My guess is other colorways won't actually come with this type of string bag, but very cool string bag. And then let's get the box out of the way for you guys, and we'll throw this one down right there. So beautiful pair of football boots, and lots to talk about as far as tech features go. As you guys know, this is not kangaroo leather. It is the first football boot in the Tiempo line to be a synthetic material since the Kangolite edition of the Tiempo Legend 3 Elite, which I actually have in a maroon colorway. Those were the last Tiempo of the Tiempo line to be synthetic. And so this sort of takes a whole new look at what the Tiempo could be moving forward and will be moving forward, because it will no longer be kangaroo leather. So without further ado, the tech specs of the Nike Tiempo Legend 9 Elite. Here we go. So as I mentioned before, this is a completely new synthetic leather upper called Fly Touch Plus engineered leather. And it is the first non-leather Tiempo since that Tiempo Legend 3. You've got the Fly Touch Plus logo right there, which is awesome. So what this is supposed to do is this upper is supposed to be, it's actually decently soft out of the box, which is super, super nice. It is advertised as being softer than leather out of the box. We'll see when I actually put my foot in the shoe if that's the case, but out of the box from a feel and touch perspective with my hands, it doesn't feel all that much different from regular leather. It's very obviously synthetic, but I wouldn't say it's softer to the touch than a regular leather football boot. It is supposed to retain 55% less water than the K-Leather versions of previous Tiempos, so Tiempo Legend 9, 8, 7, etc., which is really, really cool. And then you have a fly knit, which is pretty clear to see on the heel area here. Fly knit basically through this little heel area on the back, through this collar, and then into the lacing system, very, very similar from a construction standpoint, at least in theory, to the Tiempo Legend 9. Really nice quality fly knit material there, just to give you that kind of seamless wrap sensation, which is awesome. What they've also done, which I am a huge fan of, at least in theory, because they did it on the Monteballonas as well, but they've shaved down the foam pods on the instep here and in the toe area, so it still does have a tiny bit of foam that run kind of in those ridged areas, as you can see here, and then of course in this area as well, but they have shaved those down, so it's much more of a seamless and barefoot sensation compared to the Tiempo Legend 9, which had a massive pass pad here, and then it had a big kind of touch pod or whatever right here in the toe area. So for me, that was something that was fine on the Tiempo. I tend to prefer, if it is going to be a leather football boot, I tend to prefer something that's a little bit on the thinner side, but that's all personal preference. For me, this is really awesome because on the Tiempo Legend Montebelluna, they completely deleted, I guess, did like a pod delete or pad delete right here in the toe area. So it was perfectly beautiful K-leather. The Alegria leather, and then they left the pod here in the midfoot, but with this one, they've kind of shaved everything down and made it much more seamless. Now, one of the things that I think is really interesting from a marketing perspective is that Nike released the CTR360 Maestri 3 in they did a re-release with that yellow and black colorway that you guys have seen. If you haven't seen my review, you can go check it out. But it is a very similar construction to this football boot. Obviously, it's got a normal U-throat tongue, but it is made with Kangalite material, which my guess is Fly Touch Plus is just the new iteration of what Kangalite is now going to be. So Kangalite, I guess, has evolved into this Fly Touch Plus. It feels very similar. It's got similar qualities, obviously less water retention and all that stuff. And I do not think it was a mistake. And not only was it not a mistake, but I also think it was very purposeful on Nike's part from a marketing perspective to release that CTR just weeks before this boot actually officially launched, even though we've seen photos of these for months now. But because those constructions are so similar, my guess is Nike wanted to preface the launch of this football boot by basically saying, hey, you guys enjoyed Kangalite boots of the past, you guys loved the CTR, so you're gonna love the Tiempo because it's basically the same material and it's probably gonna fit very similarly. So I think I've decided right now, I'm actually gonna write this down, but I am going to do a comparison between this and the CTR once I've broken them all in, because I do think they're very similar football boots, and it was no mistake that the CTR was released, like re-released prior to this boot. I think Nike just wanted to essentially force the public, if you will, to basically be like, yeah, you know what? Actually, synthetic leather football boots are really good. Okay, cool. We're cool with the Tiempo not being leather anymore, right? Pretty straightforward. The sole plate has also changed just so ever slightly. It's mostly conical studs here in the forefoot area. You've got the bladed studs here in the heel. It's a pretty flexible sole plate here, kind of in that area, which you would expect. And then it's got some nice rigidity here through the midfoot, which I really like. I think that's it's a fairly responsive sole plate. It's, I would say, slightly above average as far as stiffness goes, but all the same, this stud pattern for the Tiempo Legend 10 Tiempo Legend 9, was actually really good. I like that sole plate a lot. and this doesn't really do much other than you get two little cutouts here on the underside of the sole plate for a little bit of pressure release as you're planting your foot into the ground, which is kind of an interesting concept. We'll see if I actually feel that on feet. But the fact that they've made majority conical studs with some of the bladed studs in the heel area is just really nice, and it's classic, and this sole plate is really, really good. The question I have now that I've reviewed Phantom Luna, and that's supposed to be, you know, the queen, so to speak, made for women, the queen of pivotal power and stuff, does this one, just with regular conical studs, actually rotate in the ground side to side better than a Phantom Luna does? That's an interesting question. Once we get these on feet, I'll answer that, and we'll go from there. Last couple tech specs for this: you do get ACC on this football boot, which gives it a little bit of kind of a matte stickiness feeling to it. It's definitely not, I wouldn't categorize it as sticky, so to speak, but it does have a nice matte finish to it, which will be really nice. And you also have these little kind of miniature touch texture pods here on the entire instep through the toe and through the midfoot. That'll be pretty nice, I think, for control of the ball on your instep. And then you've got a completely matte surface here on the outside of the football boot, which is really nice as well. So overall, very, very nice football boot. It looks really nice. It doesn't weigh that much. It's a fairly lightweight football boot, but again, weight doesn't really matter that much. Very, very classic sock liner as well, so that's great. You've got a nice padding here in the heel area, and I do think that this is going to be a really nice football boot to have on feet, and it's definitely something that I'm going to be wearing in training. You know, for the most part, Tiempos fit pretty well, so given that the shape of this is fairly similar to the Tiempo Legend 9 Elite, I am excited to break these in. As far as the one more thing about the heel, though, I did want to talk about. It seems like with the Phantom Luna and the Phantom GX, Nike has been really inspired by the positive reaction that they've had from the lack of heel structure, at least in this little cutout area here on the heel. And they've done the same thing here that they did on the Luna and then on the GX, where they have the internal heel counter kind of sits there, and then there's a cutout basically there to allow all different types of Achilles shapes and heel shapes to really lock in and fit into the back of this football boot, especially with this really nice micro suede padded lining here. And then you've got the flexibility of the fly knit and all that stuff. So for me, this is gearing up to be, in my opinion, like what Maestri 4 could have been, or the new CTR kind of could have been, which I think is where, at least from my perspective as somebody who likes to look bigger picture at sort of marketing schemes and the timing of releases and all that stuff, I think this very much is Nike's offering this boot to us as a, hey, we know kangaroo leather is really popular. We know you guys like kangaroo leather. It's really nice. However, remember when we had Kangalite boots that were also really amazing and that you loved? Here's the newest version of what we can do that has new tech and names and everything, but it's essentially a similar construction and shape and feel. So obviously I haven't actually had these on feet yet, so I'll make that a definitive statement in the on feet portion of the video or not. Maybe I'll come back and say, wait a second, this isn't anything like it. But as far as a construction standpoint goes, this very much feels like what the iteration of Tiempo or CTR360 Maestri 4 or 5 could have been back in the day. So now we have it, and I'm so excited to try it on feet. Let's hop into it. All right, fam, out here at the pitch with the absolutely beautiful Tiempo Legend 10. I am very excited to see what these feel like on feet with the new Fly Touch Plus and of course the Fly Knit through that lacing system area. These look like they're gonna be essentially, as I said earlier, like a new version of a CTR, which I absolutely love. So let's just hop straight into the on feet portion of the video. Look at those in the sunlight. How gorgeous. All right. Get these on. I am wearing Nike grip socks, so that is like they're barely grippy, to be honest, but they do have a little bit of grip along the side, but they are like the thinnest socks that I own, so that's why I do it. Here we go, getting the foot in. Boom. Oh my word. Yo, these are very comfortable. Oh, nice. Yo, guys, these are fantastic. Now I understand Nike's marketing materials in saying that these are softer than kangaroo leather. These are definitely softer than the regular Tiempo Legend 9 Elite straight out of the box. Like, it's not even, the shape is very similar, but the softness that I get through this midfoot area here on the lateral side is just fantastic. Wow. Well, that might be a training boot today. We have training in about an hour and a half, 2 hours or so. I think these might be the boots I train in today. Holy cow. Well, actually, there is no cow or kangaroo for that matter. Goodness. Yeah, so these are, I am absolutely convinced this is the design that they had for CTR4 or whatever the new generation of CTR was going to be, because these feel pretty similar to CTR. I would say these run out of the box just a little bit narrower. Like, I can still fit in them no problem, but they do run a little bit narrower, especially here in the lateral side of the midfoot area. And so sizing 9 US, perfect. If you fit in the Tiempo Legend 9 Elite, you'll definitely fit in these. And then from a sizing perspective, they're the exact same. So would definitely recommend going true to size to get that great length fit. And then from a width perspective, they do have a decent amount of width, especially here in the sole plate area. The sole plate actually comes all the way out to like the edge of where my foot is. And I do think that this fly touch material is going to stretch pretty well out of the box and get a nice fit around your foot. Genuinely, these are exceptional. These are super, super comfortable. I'm a huge fan. We'll see how they fit when they get broken in and stuff, but honestly, I'm really blown away with what Nike's done here. I feel like the Tiempo, obviously with going to a synthetic material, it was gonna be kind of hit or miss with whether the boot was actually gonna hold up to the Tiempo standards. I don't think this feels all that much like a Tiempo, but I do think this is the return of what we loved from the CTR line. And I really believe that. It fits pretty similarly to that. It has, this Fly Touch Plus is definitely a material that mimics Kangolite, or is essentially the same. Like, it feels very similar to Kangolite in that way. The shape of these boots is very similar to the CTR360 Maestri 3s that I just reviewed, that re-release color. And I do think that from a fit and feel perspective, other than of course the fact that these have Flyknit through the tongue and those ones have that regular U-throat tongue, there's going to be a little bit of extra width on those just because they have that regular traditional U-throat tongue, whereas this one is Flyknit, so it's going to kind of keep all the material together. Of course, there's a little bit of bowing here, but again, that's not the Flyknit, that's just this upper material that's going to have to mold to the width of my foot, especially in that wide area. So really no complaints as far as fit goes. There's no room here as well. It sits flush to my foot, which is awesome. Again, this little bowing is just the upper, not actually the Flyknit that goes flush with my foot. Really nice and low toe box, which I love especially for striking the ball and stuff. So really, really fantastic. There's a full look at the Tiempo Legend 10, and I must say, well done, Nike. I think these are, again, you have to keep in mind, if you're somebody who's a Tiempo traditionalist, these might not be the boot that you're interested in or wanting, because you want to stay with K-leather, you want to stay with a more traditional vibe. But I would say for those of us who really enjoy the CTR line, these are an awesome, awesome, awesome update. Yes, they carry the Tiempo name. Yes, the Tiempo is no longer going to be leather. But I will say that if you put it in your head that, hey, these are maybe the newest generation of CTR, fantastic, fantastic. Touch on the ball is really good. I would say it's not quite barefoot feeling, but the upper, that fly touch, is actually quite thin, and so you do get a nice feeling of the ball as you manipulate it from a underfoot perspective. The sole plate feels really neutral, really nice. As I mentioned in the unboxing portion of the video, these conical studs from kind of in that forefoot area, and then the bladed studs really do provide a super neutral feeling on the ground, especially here on this Rochester Stadium, which is an artificial ground. It's a little bit older, and the turf's pretty hard. So it really kind of beats you up from a load perspective. And I would say that these are totally fine. They're gonna pivot just fine. They're gonna give you a good amount of grip. They're gonna give you a good amount of grip both in FG and AG pitches, and will be super nice. As far as those cutouts go on the bottom, I wanted to mention that as well. I don't really feel it all that, like you can't really feel it. That being said, I'm not like in the middle of playing right now, or I haven't had a session this morning in these. This is the first time I've tried these on, so maybe I'll start to feel them as they break in a little bit, and I'll start to, I guess, realize the lack of pressure in those two kind of pressure points on the toe area. But as far as I can tell from bouncing up and down kind of and moving around, it's really not like, I can't really feel them. That being said, maybe it's just a gimmick. Maybe it's just for people who play on AG to have kind of peace of mind, or maybe that's the joy of the technology, is that it's good enough that I don't even notice it, even though it's affecting my foot in a positive way. So yeah, so I don't know. As far as fit goes and comfort goes, these are really, really nice. I would say that, as you can see, the toe box is quite narrow, similar to the GX and then the Tiempo Legend 9 Elite. I will say that this material does feel like it's gonna stretch a little bit, but it's not gonna overstretch, of course, like they've advertised. Hopefully, you guys will see in the 1 month review all the extra information on that, but they're definitely pretty narrow. So if you have a really wide toe box, these might not be the boots for you. Maybe I would recommend something like a Morelia 2, or even a Puma Future Ultimate, or a Predator Accuracy, which have really, really wide toe areas. These tend to be a little bit more on the snug side, which, to be fair, is pretty on brand with Tiempo 8 and 9, I would say. Both of those had pretty narrow toe boxes, and to be fair, back to like Tiempo 7 as well, just from a standpoint of kind of coming into a point at the toe. That being said, these should break in really well. So overall, thoughts on the new Tiempo 10? Huge thumbs up for me, really. I know I'm not somebody who is super, I would say, religious about the Tiempo being leather. Obviously, it's a bummer that they're not doing leather boots, but as you guys have seen from previous videos, and I'll mention it now here again, I do think that big companies like Puma, Adidas, Nike, those guys going away from K leather and going away from premium quality leather actually gives an amazing amount of market share to an opportunity to brands like Asics and Mizuno and Adler and some of these other boot brands who are creating the really plush kangaroo leather uppers that we all enjoy. I think if you don't enjoy them, then you haven't really tried a pair of those boots on. And I do think that it allows that market share for those other brands to kind of come into the market and be worn by players. Recently, I wore a pair of Asics DS Lite X Fly 5s Special Edition in my game here this past weekend as of the filming of this video. I know that Mizuno just came out with the Morelia 4 and Morelia Neo 4 and Neo 4 made in Japan. Sorry, that was a mouthful. But they came up with the next generation of their Neo series, which is awesome. So again, more market share to those smaller companies. And so I think that the fact that Nike's going away from a leather and going back to something like obviously this is called Fly Touch Plus, but something similar to what we enjoyed on Kangalite, just the newest iteration of that material, it feels like, especially on feet, I think we're all gonna be better for it and all enjoy it. And hopefully, some of you guys who are interested in leather boots will go to those other brands, which I think are absolutely fantastic, and honestly kicked the crap out of Nike, Puma, and Adidas in the leather category regardless. So anyway, that's my thoughts on it. Here's one last look really quick at the Tiempo Legend 10 Elite, especially in this colorway. I think this Guava, it's Guava Ice, and these is for the Women's World Cup. Fantastic colorway, really nice fitting football boot, light on feet, and I'm really excited to test these in a training session and of course, potentially in games. If you guys enjoyed that video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you guys are interested in in-season workout programs for injury prevention and strength gains, hit that like button, go down to the link in the description box below. And a huge thank you to Soccer USA OKC, who sourced these for me and were able to get these to me really, really quickly so I could review them for you guys. So go, first link will be their link for the Soccer OKC website and to their Instagram page. And then the second link will be to my website where you can pick up those in-season workout programs. So hope you guys enjoyed that video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, be awesome. Take care. I'll see y'all in the next video.